Hey guys, it's Jason from Aquarium and Reptile Depot. We're gonna talk about live foods today and how to take care of it. So before I show you how to take care of some live foods here, we usually recommend a varied diet regardless of whatever fish that you have. So we feel that dry food or frozen food is a good staple diet for them. And then you generally use live foods because fish are possibly finicky. Maybe you want to use it as a treat. Maybe you just want to incorporate it into a varied diet. So we have the luxury of having some live food on a regular basis here. Live black worms we're really popular for. We get that on a weekly basis. Live brine shrimp, we get that on a weekly basis. So that's why we want to kind of talk about it today. Once you know that we have them, you get it. It's kind of odd how you get them home. They just come in a little baggie and you're like, okay, what do I do with it now? Do I feed it all? Do I not? And that's what I'm here to talk to you about today. So we have some live black worms right in front of me. Like I said, we get it delivered on a weekly basis. This just came out of our fridge in the back. That's where we pull from when people place an order with us. So once you get the worms home, what do you do with it? So we recommend plopping it into a tub with a lot of surface area. So this one, since we get a lot, it's a little bit larger than what you probably need at home, depending how much you get of the worms. So once you get it home, you put them in there and get some water from, I like if you have a fridge, if you have the luxury of getting water from the fridge, then grab that water. You can even prep it and put it in the fridge a little bit before you get the worms to ensure that the water is nice and cold. So we're gonna have to store these in the fridge. So I don't know about you, but if you're okay with it, with your foods that you eat, completely cool, no worries. It'd be probably better if you have a significant other. They probably don't want to see this with the leftovers from last night. So maybe get a fridge for just a fish if you're dedicated that much into it, or reptiles, or have one for both. If you're watching this video, you're probably pretty dedicated. So I'm assuming you might have a mini fridge or something like that, pretty low cost, and you can keep the temperature slightly warmer so it's not as cold as what it is in your normal fridge. So anyway, so we get it home, you plop it in there, you put some cold water on top. This is what it would look like. Generally, we have about ½ an inch of cold water on top of them, and that's it. All right, so that's easy. This is what it looks like. But if you want to keep the worms for a longer period of time, granted you can't get here on a regular basis, or you come once a week and you just restock on it, how do you keep them alive for the week span? So you just have to rinse the worms. It's pretty simple as it sounds, but I'm just gonna show you because a lot of customers ask us, they don't know what's that about. So that's what we're here for. So you're gonna grab the worms, and I have a rinse bucket here. You can just do this over the sink. Before I do this, I actually like to have a net just in case to catch any worms that kind of fall out. We're all about value, so we want to make sure we protect our purchase and our investment. So all you do, you can see the water's a little cloudy because it's been in there overnight, and then we usually rinse every day in the morning. So I'm just gonna do that for the guys for this morning. So all you do is just slowly pour the water out. A lot of the live worms are gonna stay closer to the bottom anyways, and you want to keep the worms nice and red, brownish color. Once they start turning gray, that means they're starting to go a little bit bad. So you want to make sure you avoid that. It gets pretty smelly. Granted, sometimes they just don't come in as well. It is live food, so that is something to always consider. But for the most part, our suppliers have been really good lately and haven't had any issues, and we've been rinsing them and keeping them clean. So yeah, you try to get all the water out of it, which we did. I barely got any worms in here. Just gotta make sure I get all the excess worms out, and that's it. And then I have water from the fridge that I put in there the night before with some prime. So prime is water conditioner, so that dechlorinates water, detoxifies ammonias, nitrites, nitrates. So that helps the worms not get any chlorine from the tap or anything like that. And all you do is just pour it right on top. And put this back in the fridge and you're ready to go. I'm gonna feed these a little bit later. We have some cool little accessories like little worm feeders and different things like that for them to feed your fish with. But that's all you have to do to rinse the worms out, and I'm gonna show you how to do live brine shrimp next. All right, let's move to our other station with the live brine shrimp here. As you can see, these guys are moving around. I got those from the back where we keep our brine shrimp at, little sea monkeys. That's why, I mean, while we're talking about this, that's why a lot of live food is needed for finicky eaters, because they're constantly moving around. So it's gonna simulate more what they're gonna eat in nature, stimulate them a little bit more. And that's why a lot of customers will get them. Again, you can get it as a treat too. So don't get me wrong, just because you don't have finicky eaters doesn't mean you can't get live food or anything like that. But live brine shrimp is in full salt water. These are adult brine shrimp. We get these on a weekly basis here, fresh. So brine shrimp, in my experience, in our store's experience, don't last as long as probably the worms do, but you can still try to prolong and keep them going. We recommend putting an aerator in there. But yeah, when you get them home, you'll get a bag, salt water, and some brine shrimp. So you just put them in a tank or in a container and just put some aeration in it, and that's all you really need to do. You have to just occasionally change the water out for them, and you need to do that with salt water. You can mix your own salt, but if you're just doing this and you already have a saltwater tank, so maybe you already have salt water laying around. But if you're a freshwater customer and you're trying to keep these going for a while, we do sell pre-mixed salt water. In this case, I would probably recommend that, just because the ease of it, and you don't have to mix it and test it and so forth and so on. But if you do mix your own water, make sure you use Prime again. This is really important for chlorines because this will take out the live food. So make sure you use that if you're mixing your own water. If you buy water from us, we do RODI water mixed with Aquaforest salt. It's $1 a gallon, so pretty cheap as long as you bring in your own container. Yeah, that's about it as far as the water is concerned. Also, I'll show you how we go about that. And we use a net again, and I have quite a bit here. There's a brine shrimp net that's a little bit finer, which we sell from, I think Aquatop is the supplier for that net. We do carry here, I think it's like $3.99, not too expensive. I would recommend using that if you're at home, but for our usage, we have to use bigger nets because for a commercial grade. So we pour the brine shrimp into the net, get that old water out of it, and then have the new water, and then just plop them in there. And that's all you do. And then put the aerator back on it, and you're good to go to feed the fish. So I'm gonna go ahead and feed some of the fish for you guys, especially the ones that we feel that need a little bit more of a specialty diet or a little bit more finicky here, but not too expensive too. If you come into the store, if you're local, these are only $4.99 an order of it for the live brine shrimp, $3.99 for an order of blackworms. So you just hop in line, let us know. We're in Citrus Heights, so if you're local, come by and get it. We're constantly loading new products on our online store, so if you're not local, you can't get it at your local fish store, and you want us to ship it to you and you want to see this, let us know. We might throw this on our online store if we have enough of a demand and we can start shipping this stuff out. But let me show you some of the feeding in action here. All right, got the worms here. We're gonna feed the little pea puffers. They seem to always like that. We have a worm feeder, I guess, before I throw it in there. So what this does is the worms are gonna sit in that little feeder and they're gonna slowly crawl out. So allow the pea puffers to not eat it all at once kind of thing. So we can kind of, what's the best way to say it is kind of control how much worms come out of it. So we like that. So here we go. All right, so it's just gonna sit in that worm feeder, and then like you see, it's just slowly coming out. Well, tiger barbs love it too, I guess. So the pea puffers can go there and pick off the worms as they see or as they are hungry. The nice thing about blackworms, if you do put it in fresh water, some customers will get it to grow in the substrate, which is cool, and they start reproducing. I never really had the luxury of having that happen before, but I do hear it a lot with customers, so that will give a steady source of food for them. And you can still feed blackworms to saltwater fish I would say butterflies especially seem to like the blackworms. However, because blackworms are in full freshwater, they don't last very long in saltwater. So that means don't feed a lot of it or it can foul up the water. I mean, that's definitely the con of it. But again, the wiggling around. Butterflies have small mouths, so they really like to pick at that. So that is a good option if you do that. And we'll just quickly feed the live brine shrimp to some of the seahorses and pipefish, and we're gonna head over there now. We are in the saltwater department now, so we are gonna feed, we have seahorses and pipefish. If you guys didn't know, they're a little bit more of a challenging feeder. They're slower eating, they're kind of picky. So that's what we have live brine for. So here, we're just gonna take a small net full of the live brine, and we are gonna feed it off to the pipefish and seahorse. Once they see it moving, they're not the quickest of movers, but once they figure it out, then they're gonna start eating it. As you can see, they're going after it slowly but surely here. But that's why the purpose of live foods, and that's why it's super popular for us. And on the flip side, you can feed saltwater brine shrimp to freshwater, but it's the same kind of idea as the blackworms. They don't necessarily last as long in freshwater because they live in salt. But another thing to think about when you're doing like the opposite, like blackworms in salt and brine shrimp in freshwater, the good thing about that is then the transmitting doesn't really happen. There's no really cross-contamination because most things can't live in fresh and salt, so vice versa. So it's just something to consider. I mean, on the flip side too, anytime you introduce live foods into your tank, there is always a risk associated, possibly some weird bacterias or different things like that. So just keep that in consideration. Nothing's perfect, and that's what we're here to let you know. That I mean, there's pros and then there's definitely cons about everything. There's definitely value. There's times that you need it, times that you don't. So just kind of remember that as far as that's concerned. Speaking of foods, while we're talking about it, I want to tell you guys that we started carrying Vitalis foods in the store. That's been a popular pellet, and they have flakes and they have like catfish pellets. So kind of a really cool brand. It's got soft pellets, pretty popular. And we're always loading new stuff on our online shop, so check it out. The team's always putting products up there. So the worm feeder, the Vitalis, look out for that on the online store because we are shipping now. So if you can't get it at your local fish store around the United States and you want Aquarium Reptile Depot to come to your city, your town, we got you covered. So just check out our online store and we can ship anything to you guys. But right now we're starting to load more and more products. We started doing fish, we started doing corals, we started doing plants. So we're getting into the live, looking to get into reptiles. So a lot of fun stuff, a lot of excitement kind of happening around the store. But if you're local to the Sacramento area, come check us out. We are in Citrus Heights, 8201 Auburn Boulevard. Make sure to subscribe to our channel, like these videos, comment below, follow us on all our social media. We really appreciate it. And we're gonna see you guys on the next video.